Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Stella, but you can call me Eligibility. So recently I relocated to Canada as a permanent resident, and since then I have gotten quite a number of questions from friends, acquaintances and all that stuff. Basically asking me, how did you go about the whole process? Did you get it done yourself? Did you make use of an agent, a consultancy firm and things like that? So I'm going to answer that question in this video, and of course give out other details as to how I went about the whole stuff, and if you would like to relocate yourself, how you can go about it, and just basically give necessary information. So to answer that question, I would say no. I did not make use of any agents, no consultancy firm, nothing of that sort. I did everything from start to finish myself. But of course, I had support from group of people that we had the same goal. We were working towards achieving the same thing. We basically just supported ourselves. Gave each other that motivation when anyone felt down. Shared information amongst ourselves. Wow, wow! Is this what the weather is going to be doing to me today? Wow. So if you feel you would like to go ahead and make use of a consultant, that is very fine. The only thing I would suggest is that you are very, very involved in the process yourself. Like make sure whatever is being done, any action that is being taken runs through you first of all, runs by you or through you, whichever one first of all, before it's actually done. So there's no case of, oh, why didn't you tell me this, that, blah, blah, blah. Because there are instances where people have had their application rejected, they've gotten penalized, that's like being banned from coming to the country for a certain number of years and things like that, maybe because of falsified information or whatever. Some of these agents, just because they're trying to make sure one's application is approved, some of them don't really care if they do some things that are not exactly legal or misrepresent the person and things like that. They're just, but still, there are good consultancy firms out there. You just have to do your research. Now, if you would have to be that involved in the process, you might as well just do the whole thing yourself. But that's left for you to decide. It's not my business, actually. I'm just here to give information. I'd like to point something out. Everything you're going to hear from this video is just my experience. I'm in no way a consultant or affiliated with any consultancy firm or any Canadian immigration, office or anything of that sort. No, this is just my experience. So I would really expect that after watching this video, you still go ahead and do your due diligence, make sure everything that has been said here correlates with, what is official, what is legal. Now, that being said, let's get right into, the video for today. So, relocating to Canada, the whole process is points-based. That's like the first thing that should be noted here. You need to have a certain number of scores to be invited to apply. So everything about one determines your scores, like your age, your work experience, your educational qualification, if you have a job offer from Canada, if you have a Canadian degree, if you have a direct sibling, or your mother, father here in Canada, and things like that. Your language ability test, language ability test, and all that. So the aim here is to have really high score to get invited to apply. Now, when it comes to the whole getting invited to apply, in fact, when it comes to the whole relocation thing, there are different streams through which one can relocate to Canada, immigrate to Canada. And these streams are they're like 6, 7, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to talk about 1 or 2. Now, these streams are agri-food pilots, Atlantic immigration pilots, Canadian express class, federal skilled worker, federal skilled trades, and province nomination program. I'm only going to talk about federal skilled worker and federal skilled I'm only going to talk about federal skilled workers and province nominee program because I came in through the both of them. Now, to begin with, you would need to check your eligibility. Check your eligibility involves giving out some, general information about yourself, and then the system will let you know whether you're eligible or not. Now, hopefully, you get eligible. The next thing would be to check your comprehensive ranking scores. Checking your comprehensive ranking scores is very similar to checking eligibility. The difference here is it's more detailed, like you're giving detailed information this time around. Now, after answering all these questions, you will have an idea of what your score is going to be like once you create a profile. Now, checking your comprehensive ranking score is very, very important because it helps you strategize. And the truth is, when it comes to this process, one really needs to be strategic. You just have to, because as I mentioned earlier, it's point based. And for some people, they do not have everything that will give them the necessary scores they want. I started this journey in 2018, and I got my application approved. I got my application approved in 2020. That's like roughly 2 years later. But please, I should state it out there that no two applications are the same. Mine might have taken me 2 years, but it honestly doesn't mean yours will take you up to that 2 years as well. No. Everyone's application is very different because there are a lot of factors that decides these things. My application might be a very simple one as a single person. Yours might be a little bit more complicated because you've traveled to so many countries that they would need to confirm, your criminality records in these different countries and things like that. Now, the visa offices, these applications are sent to also determine how fast or how slow, your application is going to get processed. Some offices are known to be faster than the others and vice versa. So please do not, use mine as a yardstick to know how long yours is going to take. There are certain people that started the journey and finished it in a year. Certain people that have, theirs even took longer than mine. So it just everything is different. No two applications are the same basically. So like I was saying earlier, comprehensive ranking score would help one strategize. When I decided to start this journey, the cutoff score was around 440 something. And then 2019 it got to 450 something, 450 something going to 460 something. As at 2020, it was already getting to 480. So the goal here is to try and meet up with the cutoff mark. Not everyone has the necessary things to give them this cutoff mark. So, you find yourself wanting to improve by, say, taking French classes so you can write the French language test. You basically know how to go about these things. You know if you need to start a master's program or you need to, just run a short-term course, because it's not just some certificate courses are equally evaluated, are equally accepted by these evaluation bodies as well. So you know which one, you just know basically what to do. You know, okay, I don't speak French, but maybe I can take 6 months French classes or 3 months French classes to be able to write this exam and hopefully pass the French exam. You would know, oh, okay, if I get nominated by province, I'll have so number of points. Should I apply to this province? And do I have the occupation this province is in demand of? And things of that nature, basically. It's just basically help you strategize. Now, having mentioned checking eligibility and checking one CRS course, I'm going to list the steps to be taken in this process in order of their importance. The first step to take would be to evaluate degree. The whole idea is just to make sure whatever it is you claim you read in your country, your home country, is up to the Canadian educational standard. Yes. There are different bodies that have been set up, different organizations that have been set up by the Canadian government for these degree evaluations. And I'm going to leave their links and other necessary information in the description box. Why this one comes first is because once you've evaluated your degree, the evaluation lasts for 5 years. And the time it also takes to have the degree evaluated is a little while as well. It's like 3 to 4 months. That's probably minus the time your school spent in sending them the transcript. Although when it comes to WES is one of the evaluation bodies. When it comes to WES, I think they've started an electronical way of transmitting transcripts. I don't know about others. I used WES, but even when I used WES, it was still through courier that my school sent my transcript. I don't know if the electronic means was available then. I have no idea. So it's best to start with something that takes the more time, and then follow up with other ones that don't really take so much time. So that's step number one. The second step will be to write the language test. Like I mentioned earlier, points have really come up, the cutoff mark has really come up these days. So it's really advisable for one to not just write the English language test, but the French language test as well. These days, there are French classes of, well, not really these days, because I don't know much about French. I didn't write the French test myself then, and thankfully I didn't have to. But considering the way things are going these days, if you have to, please do so. Like I mentioned earlier, this whole process, involves strategy. So if you've checked and you see that with just English test, and of course, having the highest scores in this English test is also important as well. Overall, doesn't really matter when it comes to immigration. Maybe it does for school, but when it comes to immigration, individual scores for the individual modules is what matters. Like for the English language test, you have, which is IELTS, you have listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So having the highest scores in each module is what matters most. So if you've checked and with just the English test, your scores are not meeting up with the cutoff mark, it's be advisable to take French classes as well. And why is writing the language test coming second? This is because the the language test results last for only 2 years. So you can compare 5 years over 2 years. They're not close at all. And after you've written the language test, in 2 weeks the result is out. So it's only appropriate that evaluating your degree comes first before taking the IELTS test. The important links I'm going to leave in the description box. So all these things I'm saying, there are actually places you can go and check them out and do your due diligence. But still, watch the video through till the end, because every information is actually important. And after having done that, the third step would be to get into the pool. Now, getting into the pool basically means creating a profile on the Canadian website, under immigration and all that stuff. So you would get into the pool with these documents you have. At least by then you would have had your degree evaluated. The body, the organization you use in evaluating your degree would have sent you the assessment. You have your language test results at hand. So you just input these informations in the profile, and then you'll be in the pool. You will then sit back, relax, and hopefully, get invited to apply. At this stage now, there are 3 things that are involved. It's either your scores are up to the cutoff mark, or your scores are unfortunately not up to the cutoff mark, but, fortunately, you've been nominated by a province, or, your scores didn't meet up with the cutoff mark, but still there's no province nomination. If it's the first one, good for you, congrats. If it's the second one, congrats still, because when a province nominates you, you have 600 points, which automatically qualifies you for the next draw. Draws are carried out 2 or 3 times every month, and when these draws happen, people get mails in their profile inbox letting them know they've been invited to apply and all that. But if you find yourself in the third category where your scores do not meet up with the cutoff mark, and there's no province nomination, all hope isn't lost yet. I was once in that situation. What you would then do at this point is to proactively seek how you would get nominated by a province, or see how you can take any certification course that will boost your educational qualification. Yes, say you had just BSc earlier, you'd see how you can get another certification course, so you would have 2 degrees this time around. It will be classified as 2 degrees. Or if you don't want that, you could run a master's program, which will then give you the points for master's program. Like I mentioned earlier, everything has their different points. So those are the 2 things you basically need to do. Now, coming to seeking province nomination, there's some provinces that let you apply to them, that let you come after them, like, oh, I'm interested in being nominated by your province. I wouldn't mind staying in your province when I land in Canada and things like that. Well, there are some that do not have that option. They would reach out to you if they feel your occupation is in demand in their province. So when it was my time, I was reached out to by two different provinces, Alberta and Nova Scotia. But at the end of the day, I went with one, which is Nova Scotia, and which is where I presently am right now. This that I was reached out to was because back in Nigeria, I was a social worker. So social works happens to be, one of the occupations in demand in Alberta and Nova Scotia. If the province feels you have what they need, they will send you something called letter of interest or expression of interest, asking you to apply to them. You would apply to them and hopefully get nominated and all that. So, at the end of the day, hopefully whichever category you fall in, there's still hope. Be it that your scores meet with the cutoff mark, good for you. Your scores do not, but you got police nomination, really good for you. Your scores did not, but you do not have nomination yet, all hope isn't lost. Now, going forward, you've been asked to apply because, you've met all the requirements and all that stuff. This is where the little this is where the little work comes in, because everything you claim to have, okay, you claim you've had so number of years working, you claim you had 999 in all modules of the English language test, you claim to have your degree evaluated and all that, you are going to present the documents at this point. Like, okay, yeah, we want to see proof. So you would have all this, and another important thing, you would equally show your proof of fund, because the government expects that when you finally land, like hopefully after your application is approved and you land here, you have sufficient funds to take care of yourself for the little while you're still trying to settle. It's not easy relocating to a country where maybe for some they have no relative, no friends, none of that. So even if you have relative or friends, you're not going to leech on someone else's earnings. No, you need to have something of your own. You need to have your own to find your ground. So it's at this point where you've been asked to apply, you would need to provide all these things, show proof for all these things. Coming to the proof of fund, the proof of fund for one person obviously cannot be the same for proof of fund for two people, which is a couple. That of a couple will definitely not be the same with that of family of three, a couple and their one child. And with a bigger family size, the higher the proof of fund is. So it's necessary to have all these documents ready. In fact, I'm going to suggest that the very moment you decide, oh, I want to get into this process, and you've checked your eligibility and you're good, start keeping your proof of funds aside. And for those that don't exactly have such amount of money ready at that moment, it's still not too late to start saving, start cutting down on your expenses and things like that. And another tip I'm going to put out there is, if you are in Nigeria or in any other country where the currency doesn't really have that kind of strong value, I would suggest that while you're waiting for your application to get processed, please change your proof of fund to a foreign currency. This is so because if your home country has a currency that tends to devalue really easily, and as time goes by, by the time your application has been approved and you're preparing to leave, obviously you need to change that currency to the currency that is being spent here in Canada. So by that time, only God knows how much more it would have devalued. And by the time you change the money, whatever you think you have, because obviously at this stage you might be using official rate, whatever you think you have would be divided into two by the time you go and change it at the black market or with these bureau de change fellas. So I would advise, change your money into a strong foreign currency, be it US dollars, euros, pounds, whatever it is. Just change your currency. And when it comes to proof of fund, there are different things that are accepted as proof of fund. I'm going to leave that in a document, which I would also leave the link to access the document in the description box. So guys, this is just me summarizing everything. I would still expect you go and read up, because the truth about this thing is, once you start this journey, just be prepared to always seek for information steadily, because the truth is, things get to change, things get to be different from how it used to be back then. And depending on when you're watching this video, say you might be watching this video December of 2021, I really do not expect the things I'm saying now to still be the same criteria by then. Like the requirement will likely be the same thing, but the criteria, but requirement and criteria means the same thing. Anyways, what I'm trying to say basically is okay, you would still need to write English exam by then, most definitely. Okay, look, let me even use proof of fund. Presently, proof of fund for one person is 12,960 Canadian dollars. Most likely by December of 2021, it would have increased. To even start with, on the Canadian website, they stated there that this proof of fund change every year depending on certain factors and all of that. So there's a very huge tendency that by then it would have increased. So once you're on this journey, just be prepared to be really proactive, always seeking for information and all of that. So, at this point, you have your documents and you are applying. You'll be given like 60 days to apply. Before my time, it was 90 days, but as at when I applied, it was 60 days. You have 60 days to submit your application. After the 60 days, if you've not submitted, it will be taken that, oh, maybe you're not interested anymore or something. And then you need to provide different things. All these things you're going to need to provide, I'm going to leave in the document, like I mentioned earlier. So, while applying, please be very meticulous. Like make sure there are no mistakes, because it's even stated on the website that any mistake could have one's application rejected. And if it happens, the officer that was that was processing the application would not be held liable. So just really, really make sure everything, like check, recheck, 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 recheck before you submit. Don't be in so much hurry to submit, because it's not by who submitted first that would get the golden mail first. Golden mail is the passport request mail. At that point, your application has been approved, so they are requesting for your passport, and I will still come to that later. So it's not by who submitted first that gets their PPR mail first. Like I said earlier, everyone's application differs, and there are different factors that determines the timing, the time period of having application processed. So, just make sure there are no mistakes. Some immigration officers might be lenient enough to request for something called ADR. ADR is additional document required. Yes, that's what it stands for. If they feel something was left out, they might just be lenient enough to ask you to bring that document they feel is missing, and that you know how much lucky you are. But while some might just feel, what is this? Maybe they're feeling cranky that day or something or whatever, and so just on your own part, try and be very careful. Check, recheck, 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 recheck. And after you submitted your application, as human beings, we are not above mistakes. There's every possibility a mistake could have been made, but there's still hope, because after the first 2 months of having submitted your application, make sure you order for something called GCMS notes. Now, GCMS notes is a note that has all the details, like as much details as necessary of what is going on in your application. Shows the different stages that has been done, and things like that. So from this note, you will discover if there's any mistake. From this note as well, you'd also discover if you have passed eligibility. Now, once you've passed eligibility, my brother, my sister, just go and sleep and know that, okay, the Lord has done his thing. I can go and take my rest now. Not like you couldn't have taken your rest before, because if you're a Christian, leave it all to God and go and rest. But at this point, there's this special rest that you can go and rest. In fact, not just rest. Start packing, start making preparations, buying winter jacket, buying winter boots, this, that, all that stuff. Because all you're waiting for is to just get the passport request mail. But if after the first 2 months you order for GCMS notes and eligibility is still in progress, it hasn't been confirmed yet, you would still need to order the next month again. Just keep ordering to make sure there are no mistakes. If, God forbid, there's a mistake or something is going wrong with someone's application, it will be clearly stated there. There's something called review required. God forbid someone sees review required in their application, their GCMS notes. the next thing, like really, really, like as quick as possible, next thing to do is to raise web form and correct that mistake. I'm going to give an instance now. Say your work reference letter the where your job description is stated does not match with the description of your NOC code. NOC code is National Occupation Code. Like every occupation has its code there. Mine was 4212, which is for social workers. So say the job description in your work reference letter does not match with the job description on the website for that NOC code, it could have your application rejected, because to be like, you're applying, coming in as a social worker, but it's from the things stated here, you were not a social worker. So we're sorry, but this is the information you gave us, but these documents you're giving to back it up does not match. So oops, sorry, bye bye. You get, so at that point, immediately see how you can make that correction by raising a web form. Raising a web form, submitting a new document that would, obviously correct the mistake that was made then, and having a letter of explanation as well, stating why such mistake was made and this and that. Just basically give yourself explanation. The good thing here is they are human beings, so the people processing this application are human beings as well. So if you give a good enough explanation, you're good to go. Yeah, so that's basically concerning the GCMS notes. Make sure you keep urging every month. Well, every month is if you order this month and the GCMS note comes out within that same month, and say your eligibility has not been confirmed, order the next month again until you see eligibility confirmed, until everything is good. GCMS note is usually lengthy though. It's usually like 100 and something pages. For some, it's much, much longer. Say someone that has traveled to 10 different countries and had to submit 10 different police reports. Obviously, it will be longer because they would have, there'll be more details basically involved in this person's GCMS note, involved in this person's application. So that is that. I think that's all I have to say for this video, because once your eligibility has been confirmed in your GCMS notes, you go, you relax, and you wait for a PPR mail. You get your PPR mail. You have a time frame to submit your passport. PPR mail, passport request mail. You have a time frame to submit your passport. You submit your passport obviously within that time frame, and then have your passport stamped with a visa. It comes back to you. It comes back with an expiry date. It comes back with the copy of permanent residency, and you are good to go. And you'd find yourself here. So I think at this point, I have said it all. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a document that has these details, and not just these details, that has all the necessary links in it. I would leave the link in the description box. Try and check it out. So that'll be that for now. And yes, I just remembered two things. For your IELTS exam, I would also leave the link to a website where I practiced, where I did my practice. That site is very, very good. Believe me, like their questions are even tougher than the IELTS questions. So you can imagine, and it's a good thing, because if you prepare for the worst, but you don't meet with the worst, it's no, I don't think that was a good example to give, because if you prepare for something harder but meet something simpler, of course it's an advantage. And then there's this app called CanPR. It's a really nice app to download. You get to see the important information there. Let me not even bore you guys with the details, but it's spelled CANPR. I don't know about Android users, but if you're using an iOS, go to your app store, type in the name, and to come up. So just download it. It's really important. So guys, that'll be that for this video. I hope you got the necessary information you came looking for. Please do well to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. To be a little way of telling me I did well. To be a little way of telling me I did well. So please subscribe, thumbs up, give the video a thumbs up, and share the video as well. Don't hold the information. So that'll be that for this video. Ooh, if my stomach decided to embarrass me in this video, but it's all good. So till next time, guys, stay blessed, stay out of trouble, stay safe. I wish you all success in all your endeavors, and I love you all. Bye bye.